Nobody tells you about the penalty trap until you're already in it, and suddenly you're staring at a number that feels less like a bill and more like a punishment from the universe. We're talking thousands of dollars tacked onto what you already owe. And the worst part is, most people just pay it without ever asking a single question. Here's what's wild. The IRS and most tax agencies actually have built-in systems designed to reduce or eliminate those penalties. And the majority of people have absolutely no idea they exist. It's like being charged full price at a restaurant that has a secret menu, and every single person around you is quietly eating for half the cost. So what actually triggers these penalties in the first place? Usually it comes down to three culprits: filing late, paying late, or underpaying your estimated taxes throughout the year, and the system stacks those fees like they're playing Jenga with your bank account. The penalty itself isn't just a flat fee either. It compounds, it grows, and it breathes like a living thing. We're talking about failure to file penalties that can hit 5% of your unpaid balance per month, capped at 25%, which means if you wait 5 months, you've essentially handed over a quarter of what you owed just for being quiet. Now here's where it gets interesting and honestly a little absurd, because the fix isn't some underground loophole or a secret handshake with a tax attorney. The IRS literally has a program called First-Time Penalty Abatement. And if you've had a clean compliance history for the past 3 years, you can call them up and ask for it, almost like you're requesting extra napkins. The step-by-step process starts with pulling your tax transcripts to understand exactly what penalties were assessed and why. You can request those transcripts for free online through the IRS website, and that document becomes your roadmap for every conversation that follows. Next, you make the call, and yes, you actually have to call, because the IRS hasn't quite discovered the magic of a simple online form for this one. You navigate the hold music, you get a representative, and you specifically use the phrase first-time abatement, because that language signals to them exactly what program you're requesting. If first-time abatement doesn't apply because you've had prior penalties, you pivot to what's called reasonable cause. And this is where storytelling actually becomes a financial strategy. You explain the circumstances, whether it was a medical emergency, a natural disaster, reliance on a tax professional who gave you bad advice, or any documented event that genuinely prevented compliance. Here's the part that surprises most people. Reasonable cause isn't just for dramatic life events, because the bar is lower than you'd think. Courts and the IRS have accepted arguments around confusion caused by complex tax law changes, and there's actual precedent for people winning abatements simply because the guidance they received was contradictory or unclear. What you absolutely cannot do is wait around hoping the penalties disappear, because compounding interest doesn't take vacations, and it certainly doesn't care about your feelings. Every month you delay the conversation is another month the balance grows and your leverage to negotiate shrinks. One of the most important lessons from people who've successfully had penalties removed is that documentation is everything you want. Receipts, letters, medical records, professional correspondence, anything that builds a paper trail around your narrative. The IRS isn't your enemy in this process, but they are bureaucrats, and bureaucrats love paper. Also, let's address the elephant in the room. A lot of people avoid this process because they're afraid that calling the IRS will somehow make things worse, like waking a sleeping bear. That fear is almost entirely unfounded, because requesting abatement is a protected right and won't trigger an audit or escalate your case. The psychological shift that makes the biggest difference is treating this process like a negotiation rather than a confession. You're not groveling, you're presenting a case. And the data shows that penalty abatement requests are approved at surprisingly high rates when they're submitted correctly and completely. Once you get through this, the real takeaway isn't just about the money you got back. It's about building the habit of never letting a tax situation sit unaddressed again. Small, consistent actions like quarterly estimated payments, early filings, and clean compliance records are what keep you permanently out of this conversation. The penalty game is ultimately about information asymmetry. They know the rules. Most of us don't, and the ones who learn them win. And if you're ready to take the next step in building real financial momentum, whether through real estate investing, home contracting projects, or finding the right lenders, check out our links in the description below.